Hi, Mr. Spone here, and today we're going to look at how to dilute a solution of known molarity. So let's say you had some really concentrated hydrochloric acid or sodium hydroxide. Let's say you had 12 molar hydrochloric acid and you needed to dilute it, basically. You only needed 2 molar. How would you do that? Well, you're just going to simply add water to it. You're going to water it down. So today we're going to learn how to mathematically or in a precise fashion dilute one solution of known molarity to another concentration of known molarity. So let's just start by answering a question or doing an example. How would you dilute 50 milliliters of 6 molar sulfuric acid down to a 2 molar solution? So you have some concentrated acid, it's 6 molar, and you want to make it 2 molar. How do we do it? That's essentially what we're going to look at. So we have a graduated cylinder here. There's 50 milliliters of 6 molar sulfuric acid inside. H2SO4 is sulfuric acid, if you don't know, and the concentration is 6 molar, and we have 50 milliliters. You're just going to use a simple formula, C1V1 equals C2V2, and all that means is your concentration of solution 1, this is solution 1 right here, times the volume of solution 1, concentration is 6 molar, volume is 50 milliliters. It's going to equal the concentration of the solution you want to make, that's solution 2, times the volume of solution 2. We know that the concentration of solution 1 is 6 molar. And we also know that we have 50 milliliters of 6 molar sulfuric acid. And what concentration do we want to make? Well, we want to make 2 molar. So my C2 is going to be 2 molar. Now, we don't know what volume of the solution we're going to end up with because we're going to dilute it, and that's what we want to figure out. We want to figure out how much water we need to add to this to make this 6 molar solution 2 molar. So we're actually going to solve for V2. And if we plug in our numbers, 6 molar times 50 milliliters equals 2 molar times V2. And if you just solve this equation for V2, you're just dividing this side by 2 and also dividing this side by 2 molar. 6 times 50 is 300. 300 divided by 2 is 150. So V2 is going to equal 150. Now here's the trick where we sometimes get confused. Some of you may say, well, let's pour 150 milliliters of water into this solution, and then the total volume will be 200 milliliters. That's not how we do this. Once you get this V2, you have to add water to this until it reaches 150 milliliters total. So you're starting with 50, you simply have to add 100 milliliters of water to this, so that this 50 is going to get up to 150 milliliters. So we just got to be careful with that. That's how we're going to have to dilute this solution. We add however much water we need until whatever we're starting with ends up at the number we calculated. So essentially, you're going to take your 6 molar solution of sulfuric acid, H2SO4, it's 50 milliliters, and you're going to mix it with 100 milliliters of water. And it's going to end up being 150 milliliters of 2 molar sulfuric acid. So you poured this in there. This was 6 molar to start with. 50 milliliters, you poured it in here into 100 milliliters of water. Now you end up with 150 milliliters of 2 molar sulfuric acid. So you diluted the acid, you watered it down, and you created 2 molar sulfuric acid. So let's do one more example with numbers that aren't so round. How would you dilute 45 milliliters of 5.3 molar sulfuric acid down to 1.6 molar, to a 1.6 molar solution? So these numbers aren't so round, but it's the same process. Nothing changed. We use C1V1 equals C2V2. We have 45 milliliters. That's our initial volume of 5.3 molar sulfuric acid. That's our initial concentration. And we are diluting it down to 1.6 molar. That's our final concentration. You're just solving for V2 again. So if you plug in your numbers, you end up with 5.3 molar times 45 molar equals 1.6 molar times V2. And again, just divide this side by 1.6 and divide this side by 1.6 molar. This cancels. So 5.3 times 45 divided by 1.6, and that's going to equal V2. 2. And V2 equals 149 milliliters. Now again, do not add 149 milliliters to this 45. You have to go from 45 milliliters. You have a graduated cylinder. It is at 45 milliliters. And you have to add water to this until it reaches 149. So how much water do you have to add? Well, 149 minus 45. You get the difference. So whatever the difference there is, that should be 104. You're going to add 104 milliliters to this solution to dilute it down the way we need it to. So you have 45 milliliters of 5.3 molar sulfuric acid, and you're simply just going to add water to it until it reaches 149 milliliters. You want it to go up to 149. You don't want to add 149 more milliliters. So you add 104 milliliters, and you water your solution down to the concentration you desire. And that's all you got to do. C1V1 equals C2V2. And just a very important pro safety tip, because I didn't really talk about this, you always add acids to water and never the other way around. So if you are doing this and you have to do a lab or something, if you're in my class, we'll obviously go over this every time we work with acids. But always add the acids to the water, not the other way around. You don't want it to splash in your face. It's very exothermic. Mrs. Capone.